Right. We're going to do some... We're going to do a dunk first. I know it's not necessarily positive, but everyone likes dunking on J.K. Rowling, and she is fucking stupid. Like, unbelievably. Okay, so we're going to look at this tweet. Remember Twitter? So, Thomas Willett said 2 days ago, trans women are women. Okay, yeah, true. An uncontroversial fact. But he then elaborates. When we say trans women are women, we're not saying that they're the same as cis women. Yep. No two women or men are the same. Concepts of womanhood and manhood evolve across times, place, and culture. What we mean is that trans women are valid and deserving of recognition as women. Yes, Thomas is completely correct. I mean, just like if I said left-handed women are women, I wouldn't be saying they're the same as right-handed women. I'm just saying both left-handed women and right-handed women are women, right? That's like very, like a child could understand that. So, obviously left-handed women and right-handed women aren't the same because the left-handed ones, get this, aren't right-handed. And the right-handed ones, they're not left-handed. It's just so basic that I feel like explaining this like simple understanding of how sets work, it's just like insane. But J.K. Rowling is so fucking stupid. She doesn't understand that. She thinks that Thomas writing this is some big dunk and like moment and some reveal and always. She says, for years now, you and your ilk, gender critical people love the word ilk, have jackbooted. This is a Nazi reference. Who has Nazis turning up to their movements? Is it the trans people or is it the gender critical movement? It's the gender critical movement. Sorry, spoilers. You and your ilk have jackbooted around demanding that trans-identified men, she means trans women, of course, be treated in all respects and in all circumstances as identical to biological women. Even to mention physical difference was transphobic. So spare us the panicked attempts to backtrack. Backtrack? What the fuck are you talking about? How, like, her entire life, her entire personality, everything she exists to do is just campaign against trans people's rights. And somehow she's never encountered a trans person ever. Like, she's literally never... the amount of times I have said, well, trans women and cis women aren't the same, are they? Like, that's literally why we have different descriptors for them. Like, tall women and short women aren't the same, are they? Because some of them are tall and some of them are short. And that's literally why the adjectives that describe tall and short, fat and thin, old and young, trans and cis, that's literally where these words exist in order to attempt to describe the differences between these two roughly defined groups. That's like a core position. It's not like a core trans rights position. It's a basic human language, mathematical, like, sets position. It's like how the human brain categorizes things is if we have a big class of things, a set, and then we have subsets inside it, the subsets aren't the same as each other, but they're both members of the superset. Like, that is so basic. It's not even like, oh yeah, this is a feminist position. It's like a fucking year 6 child's position when they understand how numbers work. Like, it's the classic, all lions are cats, but not all cats are lions. Like, you know, you learn this when you're like 7, and she didn't apparently learn it, or is probably more likely is she would completely understand it if you wrote this exact thing about straight and gay. If you just did find and replace and switched out trans and cis for straight and gay, she would understand it fully. But as soon as it's about trans people, her brain turns to goo and the mold takes over. As if he's panically backtracking. Like, what are you talking about? It's like the most basic vanilla explanation of reality. To even mention physical difference was trans... No, it's not. What are you talking about? What... It's just incredible that someone who, like, exists purely to have an opinion on trans people has done literally no... Not even... It's not like she's done no learning or not tried to educate yourself. Like, it's like she's never even read a single tweet by a trans person. She's never had a 5-minute conversation with a trans person. She's never like bothered to even read the arguments of people pushing back against her. Like, I mean, obviously, I try to avoid replying to anyone on Twitter now because Twitter's just full for Nazis and J.K. Rowling. But I did, and there must be loads of people being like, what the fuck are you talking about? I mean, no, I should fucking scroll through this bullshit. But she's not. I mean, has she not read it? Is she incapable of reading? Is she too stupid to understand what they're saying? Like, she might. This is a classic stupid or lying. I'm thinking stupid. Like, can you really not understand this concept? Like, what Thomas has written here is so trivial. Like, I really genuinely think a 6-year-old could understand this. And like, if there are any 6-year-olds watching and you're like, duh, I'm sorry for like demeaning you, because it's just so, what are you talking about? Why are you so stupid? And to like using some kind of like, Jack is obviously like commenting about LGBT people being Nazis or whatever. It's just so brazen. Like, the fucking Nazis are in charge in the USA and they're literally doing everything you want. All of this, like, oh, LGBT people are anti-freedom of speech. They're trying to censor people because they had a protest against, like, a hate preacher at a university. And then as soon as a gender-critical person gets in charge, they start firing people, removing words from websites, banning books, like, actually doing actual censorship. When the real fucking sig-hailing Nazis show up to scuffles about trans rights, they're not showing up on the trans side, are they? They're showing up on the Kelly J. Keane, Posey Parker side. They're showing up on the J.K. Rowling side. They're holding their banners that say "Destroy pedo freaks." When they say that, they're talking about trans people. It's just like, she is genuinely stupid. We've seen like the amount of times that she's written some tweet like basically trying to dunk on trans people, but just writing a description of herself without having any realization at all. It just like, there's too many instances of it for me to think that she's just lying. Like, someone was pointing out on Blue Sky that for being the most prominent gender critical, she has done like nothing for gender critical ideology or gender critical theory. She's done like gender critical apologetics. Like, if you think about all the other like big gender criticals, lots of them come up with new arguments, new lies. Like, even Graham Linehan comes up with new things. Like, new things. I mean, everything he says is just, you know, rehashed homophobia or something, just with the words find and replaced. But they still come up with new little bits of law. They make up new lies about trans people. They try and make arguments. They try and like progress something. All J.K. Rowling does is write stuff, like the same generic like gutter arguments from the gender critical anonymous accounts from 2016, but just to 700,000 people or whatever. How many followers? No, she's got 14 million followers, hasn't she? But like, she hasn't contributed anything. She hasn't made any stunning arguments. Like, the essay that she wrote was just a collation of other people's thoughts, and then she just done that like one thing, and now she just writes out stupid tweets like this, and that's like her full life. I just don't think she's knows what she's doing at all. I literally just think she hates trans people, and she just blindly parrots all the stuff that she's, you know, that caused her brain to melt in the first place, and that's it. There's nothing else going on in there. Like, I just can't imagine. Like, sometimes gender critical people make arguments, and I'm like, okay, the argument they've made here is in itself logically consistent, and I know what argument they're trying to make, and it's actually not straightforward to dismantle it. And it happens that you need to know that they're basing it on these two premises, and one of them is actually based on something which isn't true, and it contradicts this other part. Like, you know, you sometimes have to deconstruct it. But like, in order to approach these arguments, the first thing you need to do is understand the actual argument they're making in order to be able to deconstruct it. Like, the position that trans people are in is we have to address every single anti-trans argument. Like, they have so much media attention that we have to directly learn what they're saying, understand which bits of it are logically contradictory, which bits of it are just completely fabricated, which bit are based on, prejudice. You have to learn all of this, like, background for all of it all, and then come at the argument in a way which deconstructs it and shows people what they're saying is wrong. The transphobes don't have to do that at all. They have no, like, evolutionary pressure on their arguments because they don't face any scrutiny. None of this matters to them. It's not important to them. I mean, it's important to them in their entire personality, but, like, it doesn't affect them. So they can just write this fucking absolute trash. Like, imagine, right, okay, all right, just imagine you hate Thomas Willett and you hate trans people, and you're like, I'm going to try and deconstruct this and shoot a hole in it. The weakness is not in misunderstanding set theory. Like, the weakness is in what he's saying here isn't, oh, yeah, so you're saying that all cats are lions and all lions are cats. Like, surely you'd be like, concepts of womanhood and manhood evolve across time, place, and culture. Like, this is the bit that gender critical should be attacking. Like, I understand. I've talked to so many gender criticals. I know what the, like, advanced apologists would say. The ones who are, like, have some kind of understanding of gender critical ideology. This is the bit you go for. You could say, yes, society's understanding of... Actually, no, they wouldn't ever say that. You would say, regardless of what people thought, the truth of biological sex underlying society's understanding has always remained the same. And then we can have an argument about biology, which is much more difficult for the average person on the street to understand what's going on. Or you could attack this second bit and say, just because, like, even if you accept the first two bits, you could say, so what, it evolves across time. That doesn't mean that trans women are deserving of legal recognition. That's another attack angle. Like, they're both stupid. They're both wrong. I can't call them stupid in the face of this, but, like, the fact is that gender critical people are wrong about biology, but also it doesn't really matter what the biology is when we're talking about addressing misogynistic sexism. If society's concept of women includes some or all trans women, which it undeniably does whether you agree with that or not, then that's the group that need to be protected from how society views them when it does so negatively. And if you don't believe that trans women or trans people are deserving of legal recognition, then you need to make an argument why and explain why you accept that trans people face discrimination, but they shouldn't be supported by the government or whatever. Like, these are more complicated arguments, but to just come in with, like, not understanding how fucking words work, not understand. She's a professional writer and she doesn't know what adjectives are. Like, just unbelievable. Like, stupid, lying, both. You tell me in the comments, but on this one, I'm saying stupid.